My boss said, "Kiss me, please, my ex-husband is watching." I replied, "Will one kiss be enough?" Humans and aliens alike moved through the corridors, their languages blending into a constant melodic hum. In this chaos, Alex Rin moved like a shadow, alert, calm, and always watching. Alex was a human operative, though he preferred the title of problem solver. His job had always been unusual, and it often required quick thinking and creativity, qualities that aliens rarely understood. Today, however, his assignment was something entirely new. He was to accompany Leora Vance, a prominent human diplomat and the CEO of Vance Industries, on a high-stakes mission that could change the political landscape of several star systems. Leora was known for her sharp mind, quick wit, and uncanny ability to navigate even the trickiest social situations. Her reputation had earned her both respect and envy among humans and aliens alike. But she had one weakness. She could be unpredictable, impulsive, and, at times, a little mischievous. Alex had learned long ago that unpredictability wasn't a flaw, it was a tool, and he had to keep up if he wanted to keep her safe. As he walked through the corridors toward Leora's private shuttle, Alex adjusted his jacket and reviewed the mission in his mind. There would be a gala tonight, a gathering of diplomats, business leaders, and influential figures from across the galaxy. The purpose was simple: ensure the negotiations went smoothly and that Leora's interests were protected. The stakes were high. One misstep could lead to embarrassment, failed alliances, or worse. When Alex entered the shuttle, Leora was already there, seated comfortably in a soft, holographic chair. She looked up at him with a mischievous smile. "Ah, Alex," she said, her voice smooth and melodic, "I was wondering when you'd arrive." "You do like to make an entrance, don't you?" "I like to arrive on time," Alex replied, keeping his tone neutral, though he couldn't hide a small smirk. "And I like to be ready for anything." Leora laughed softly, a sound that seemed to brighten the dim interior of the shuttle. "Good, you'll need that tonight. My ex-husband will be there watching every move. And well, he's not exactly the forgiving type." Alex raised an eyebrow. He had heard rumors about Leora's ex-husband, a pompous alien ambassador named Goreth Vel, who had a talent for overanalyzing human behavior. Goreth had been a thorn in her side for years, and Alex knew that tonight's gala would not just be about diplomacy, it would be a test of human cunning. "And what exactly does that have to do with me?" Alex asked, leaning against the wall casually. Leora's smile widened and she leaned forward slightly. "Oh, nothing much, just that I might need you to help me navigate a rather delicate situation. Something I call the kiss test." Alex blinked. "The kiss test?" Leora's laughter was soft but filled with amusement. "It's a metaphor, Alex. But for tonight, let's just say it involves charm, timing, and a little human unpredictability." Alex chuckled, though inside, his mind was already analyzing the scenario. Humans had advantages aliens often overlooked: intuition, humor, adaptability. In unpredictable situations, humans could succeed where logic alone would fail. This kiss test sounded like one of those moments. The shuttle lifted from the docking bay, gliding smoothly into the void of space. Through the viewport, Alex could see the city of Orion 7 shrinking behind them, its lights twinkling like stars against the black canvas of space. "So," Alex said, breaking the silence, "this gala, how dangerous are we talking?" "Not physically," Leora replied, waving her hand dismissively, "but socially, extremely. Diplomatic missteps can be deadly in their own way. One wrong word, one awkward gesture, and alliances crumble. We need to be flawless." Alex nodded, understanding the gravity. It wasn't just about keeping Leora safe from physical threats. It was about protecting her reputation, her position, and the fragile threads of trust that held interstellar diplomacy together. The shuttle hummed quietly as they approached the flagship Celestial Harmony, a massive vessel where the gala would take place. It was an architectural marvel, its sleek design reflecting the technological prowess of the humans. The ship's interior was even more impressive, a blend of elegance and functionality. The walls shimmered with soft light, and the floors were polished to perfection. Every detail had been carefully planned, much like Leora herself. As they stepped into the main hall, Alex felt the familiar thrill of observation. Aliens from dozens of star systems mingled, their appearances ranging from delicate, translucent forms to imposing, armored figures. Humans were in the minority, but their confidence and ingenuity seemed to command attention. Leora leaned close to Alex. "Remember, this isn't just about what we do, it's about how we do it. Humans are unpredictable. Aliens don't understand us. That's our advantage." "Use it wisely," Alex nodded. He already had a plan forming. Observation first, subtle influence second, and if necessary, improvisation. Humans thrived in situations that defied logic. Aliens, however intelligent, often relied on rigid protocols. That rigidity would work in their favor tonight. The gala began with polite conversation, handshakes, and holographic presentations. Leora moved through the crowd effortlessly, her charm and wit drawing attention wherever she went. Alex stayed close, scanning for potential threats, not physical but social. Every gesture mattered. Every word carried weight. Then, as expected, Gorath Kavel appeared. The alien ex-husband was tall, with scaled skin that reflected light like polished metal. His eyes were sharp, calculating, and they immediately locked onto Leora. He moved with deliberate precision, as if the entire gala was a chessboard and he knew all the moves. Leora noticed his gaze and whispered to Alex, "Watch this." Gorath approached, bowing formally in a gesture that was meant to convey respect but carried an unmistakable air of superiority. "Leora Vance," he said, his voice smooth but cold. "It has been some time." Leora smiled, tilting her head slightly. "Yes, Gorath." "Time does fly, doesn't it?" Alex watched as the tension grew, subtle but tangible. This was more than a personal encounter. It was a social battlefield. Every word, every glance, every pause was a move in a game only humans and highly perceptive aliens could understand. "And tonight," Leora continued quietly, "we play." As the evening progressed, Alex guided Leora through conversations and interactions with careful precision. He noticed how humans could read subtle cues that aliens overlooked. The way a flicker in an eye could reveal hidden intentions. The tone of a voice that betrayed impatience or doubt. By the time the first hour of the gala ended, Alex realized something important. This was exactly why humans were underestimated. They were small, physically weaker than many alien species, and yet their creativity, adaptability, and emotional intelligence made them formidable. A single human could change the course of negotiations simply by understanding others in ways aliens could not. Leora, sensing his thoughts, leaned close and whispered, "See, one kiss, real or metaphorical, is sometimes enough to shift the entire balance." Alex smiled, knowing exactly what she meant. The kiss wasn't literal. It was the power of human ingenuity, charm, and timing. It was the ability to act unpredictably in a galaxy that valued predictability above all else. As the gala continued, Alex and Leora moved like a team in perfect sync, subtly influencing the crowd, misdirecting attention, and maintaining the facade of casual social interaction. Gorath watched, unaware of how completely outmaneuvered he was. Every move he made was anticipated, every gesture countered with human cleverness. By the end of the evening, it was clear that the humans had the upper hand, not through strength, weapons, or technology, but through the very qualities that aliens could never fully comprehend. Alex realized that tonight was only the beginning. The real challenge was yet to come, but humans had already proven that even in a galaxy full of powerful aliens, ingenuity, humor, and charm could be the most powerful weapons of all. As they prepared to leave the gala, Leora turned to Alex with a grin. Well, you survived the first round. I think the ex-husband is a little confused. Alex chuckled. Humans have a way of doing that. And with that, they left the celestial harmony, ready for whatever the galaxy would throw at them next. In a universe that underestimated humans at every turn, tonight had been a reminder. Sometimes, one kiss, or one clever move was enough to change everything. The morning after the gala, the celestial harmony floated silently in the orbit of the glass-blue planet Earthra, its massive hull glinting under the distant sun. Inside the flagship, the atmosphere was calm, almost deceptively so, as the crew prepared for the day ahead. Alex Rinn adjusted the collar of his uniform, glancing at the sleek corridor that stretched before him. He had spent the night reviewing every detail of the previous evening's events. Leora had managed to charm and confuse the alien diplomats without revealing their strategy, but the ex-husband, Goreth Vel, had not yet been fully neutralized. Alex knew that tonight's negotiations would test human cunning to its limits. Leora Vance appeared at the end of the corridor, her movements graceful and deliberate. She carried a tablet loaded with reports and schedules, but her eyes sparkled with mischief as she approached Alex. "Good morning, Alex," she said, her voice warm but purposeful. "I hope you're ready for round two." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Round two?" he asked, already knowing the answer. "The ex-husband," she said with a sly smile. "He's watching, every word, every gesture, and I have a feeling he's planning something clever." Alex sighed. That was exactly what he had feared. Goreth was not a brute. He was subtle, calculating, and relentless. But that was precisely why humans could win. Where aliens relied on strict logic and protocol, humans relied on intuition, creativity, and a little chaos. It was unpredictable, and that unpredictability was their greatest weapon. As they entered the briefing room, Leora tapped her tablet, projecting a holographic display of the gala and the upcoming diplomatic meetings. Alex studied the figures, noting the positions of various alien delegates, their probable agendas, and the potential traps they might set. "Look at this," Leora said, pointing to a holographic model of the main hall. "Goreth has already instructed his allies to observe me closely. Every movement I make will be analyzed. He's trying to create a perception that I'm inexperienced, careless, or easily manipulated." Alex nodded. "Then we give him the opposite. Subtlety, precision, and unpredictability." Leora grinned. "Exactly. And Alex, don't forget the kiss test." Alex rolled his eyes, but he knew better than to underestimate her humor. The kiss was not literal. It was a symbol of human ingenuity, of taking control in moments when others assumed humans would falter. The day passed with careful preparation. Leora practiced her diplomatic speeches. Alex reviewed behavioral patterns of alien delegates, and together, they rehearsed subtle maneuvers to divert attention and influence perceptions. Humans were masters of improvisation, and Alex had learned to trust Leora's instincts, which often leaned toward boldness and unpredictability. By evening, the Celestial Harmony's main hall was transformed into a radiant venue. Lights shimmered, holographic banners floated gracefully, and the hum of conversation filled the air. Diplomats and leaders from dozens of star systems mingled, their attire reflecting their cultures, some elegant and flowing, others sharp and angular. Leora moved with confidence, her presence commanding attention without effort. Alex followed closely, scanning the room for Goreth's position. He spotted the alien ex-husband across the hall, his scaled skin glinting under the lights, his eyes sharp and calculating. Goreth's allies surrounded him, forming a small circle of influence. Alex whispered, "There he is." Leora's lips curved into a knowing smile. "Time to play." The first encounter was subtle. Leora approached a group of alien delegates, her words carefully measured, her gestures graceful. She shared insights about human technology and culture, highlighting their adaptability and creativity. Alex observed closely, noting how alien delegates responded. Humans had a way of appealing to emotions and intuition, something aliens struggled to comprehend. Gorath watched from a distance, his expression unreadable. He moved with deliberate precision, observing every interaction. He tried to anticipate Leora's moves, but Alex noticed that even his extensive calculations were being challenged by human unpredictability. At one point, Leora's attention shifted toward an alien diplomat known for his strict adherence to protocol. She engaged him in conversation, asking questions that seemed casual but subtly challenged his assumptions. Alex could see the effect immediately. The diplomat hesitated, uncertain how to respond, while Leora smiled, making it seem effortless. Alex leaned closer. "She's doing it again," he murmured. "Yes," a crew member whispered. "Humans have this natural advantage. They adapt, improvise, and read situations in ways aliens simply cannot." The evening continued with a series of subtle maneuvers. Leora's charm, combined with Alex's strategic guidance, created a web of influence that slowly undermined Gorath's attempts to control the room. Every glance, every gesture, every carefully placed word served to confuse and misdirect him. Alex marveled at how humans thrived in chaos. Where aliens relied on strict rules and expectations, humans created opportunities from uncertainty. Leora was the perfect example, a diplomat who could turn a potentially dangerous encounter into an advantage simply by being herself. Then came the moment Alex had been anticipating. Gorath moved closer, stepping into the circle of attention that Leora had carefully controlled. His eyes locked on hers, sharp and calculating. It was a silent challenge, a test of influence and perception. Leora responded with a subtle smile, her posture relaxed but confident. She leaned slightly toward him, her voice soft and measured. "Gorath," she said, "I hope you're enjoying the evening. It's always fascinating to see different perspectives." Gorath's eyes narrowed, but he remained silent. He was trying to assert dominance, but Alex could see the effect of Leora's strategy. She was drawing him in, forcing him to react to her unpredictability rather than controlling the situation himself. Alex moved subtly beside her, ready to intervene if necessary, though he trusted her instincts. The human advantage was clear. Adaptability, intuition, and emotional intelligence gave them leverage that brute strength or logic alone could never achieve. The conversation between Leora and Gorath became a delicate dance. Aliens observed, trying to interpret the subtleties, but the humans' approach was beyond their rigid understanding. Each word Leora spoke, each gesture she made, was calculated yet seemingly effortless. Alex admired her skill. She turned social interaction into strategy, humor into influence, and charm into power. At one point, Leora tilted her head slightly and whispered, "Watch this." She engaged Gorath with a playful question, one designed to elicit a reaction without confrontation. Gorath paused, clearly unsure how to respond. The alien delegates around him noticed, their expressions flickering with confusion. Leora's subtle maneuvering had created a ripple effect, making the ex-husband doubt his control. Alex couldn't help but smile. This was exactly the human advantage he had been counting on. As the evening wore on, the humans continued to gain ground. Alex guided Leora through interactions, suggesting subtle shifts in tone or posture, while she executed with perfect timing. They were a team, one that combined human ingenuity with careful strategy, creating an influence that even the most calculating alien minds struggled to comprehend. By the end of the night, Gorath was visibly frustrated. His attempts to manipulate the situation had failed, and he had been forced to follow rather than lead. Leora's playful yet strategic approach had turned the evening into a triumph for humans, demonstrating once again that their strength lay not in weapons or technology alone, but in their adaptability, creativity, and emotional intelligence. As they left the main hall, Leora turned to Alex with a satisfied smile. "One more round one, thanks to a little human ingenuity," Alex chuckled. "And one more lesson for the galaxy. Humans are full of surprises." Leora's eyes sparkled. "Exactly. And sometimes a single clever move, or a metaphorical kiss, is enough to shift the balance in our favor." Alex nodded, realizing that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, filled with challenges and rivalries, but humans had a unique advantage that no alien could fully understand. They could improvise, charm, and adapt in ways that made them unpredictable and formidable. As they prepared to return to their quarters, Alex felt a renewed sense of pride. Humans were underestimated everywhere, yet time and again, they proved that cleverness, intuition, and adaptability could overcome even the most calculated adversaries. Tonight had been a victory, not through force, but through the very qualities that made humans special. And Alex knew that as long as he and Leora worked together, there was no challenge in the galaxy they could not meet. The stars outside the viewport shimmered like distant promises, and Alex allowed himself a small smile. In a universe that often overlooked humans, their true power lay in unpredictability. And in the delicate dance of diplomacy, one clever move, or one kiss, could indeed change everything. The morning sun reflected off the Celestial Harmony's polished hull, casting a golden shimmer across the docking bay of Erythra Station. The flagship had been quiet during the night, but inside, preparations for another round of diplomatic challenges were already underway. Alex Rin moved with quiet efficiency, reviewing the guest list, analyzing alliances, and noting potential conflicts. Leora Vance approached from the opposite corridor, her steps deliberate, confident, and seemingly effortless. She carried a small data pad and a glint of mischief in her eyes. "Good morning, Alex," she said lightly, her voice carrying just enough amusement to make him alert. "I trust you've been reviewing our friends' quirks." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Quirks? The ex-husband and his allies," she said with a sly smile. "They have patterns, predictabilities, and blind spots, and I plan to use every one of them." Alex nodded, already forming a plan in his mind. Humans had a unique ability. They could improvise, adapt, and exploit subtle opportunities in ways that aliens rarely anticipated. The previous night had shown him that clearly. Goreth Cavell had underestimated humans' ability to manipulate social dynamics, and tonight they would take it a step further. The main hall of the Celestial Harmony was transformed yet again. Today, the venue was hosting a networking event for interstellar trade delegates, a delicate mix of formal diplomacy and casual social interaction. Lights shimmered softly, highlighting holographic displays of the galaxy's major trade routes and technological innovations. The aliens' strict codes and formalities made the environment predictable, and that predictability was precisely what humans could exploit. Leora leaned toward Alex as they entered the hall. "Remember, Alex, it's not just about being clever. It's about appearances, gestures, and timing. We make it look effortless, and that's when humans shine." Alex followed, noting the ex-husband's position across the room. Goreth's scaled skin gleamed under the soft lights, his posture rigid, his eyes scanning the crowd for any deviation from protocol. His allies were close by, ready to intervene at the slightest hint of trouble. But they didn't yet understand one thing: humans thrived in unpredictability. The first step was subtle. Leora engaged a group of alien traders, asking simple questions about their technology and culture. She leaned on her charm, using humor and slight exaggeration to break the stiff atmosphere. Alex observed the results. Aliens were uncomfortable with casual, playful interactions. Their protocols gave them structure, but it also made them rigid. Humans, by contrast, moved fluidly, adapting to the flow of conversation. Alex noticed Goreth's reaction. The alien ex-husband's eyes flickered with irritation. He had anticipated that Leora would follow strict diplomacy, but humans rarely did. Every question, every laugh, every seemingly small gesture confused him further. "Watch this," Leora whispered. She turned slightly, glancing toward Gorath, and said something that seemed casual but had a hidden purpose. "I always find it interesting how certain traditions vary across planets. Humans, for example, have a way of turning even formal events into strategic adventures." The words were simple, yet their effect was profound. The nearby delegates, both human and alien, paused, interpreting the statement in ways Gorath did not expect. Leora had planted a seed of doubt, a subtle challenge to his authority. Alex smiled quietly. Humans did not need force, they only needed to manipulate perception. A small remark, timed perfectly, could disrupt even the most meticulous alien calculations. Gorath stepped forward, trying to regain control. "Leora Vance," he said, his voice smooth but firm, "you speak boldly for someone who has yet to fully understand interstellar diplomacy." Leora tilted her head, smiling gently. "And yet, I have managed to navigate every challenge so far, haven't I?" Her eyes sparkled with quiet amusement, and Alex could see the effect immediately. Gorath hesitated, unaccustomed to being challenged in such a subtle, playful way. The crowd sensed the tension, though most could not identify its source. Humans thrived on nuance, aliens often missed it entirely. Alex had spent years observing these patterns, and tonight he would see them in action once more. The next stage of the plan involved distraction and misdirection. Leora engaged several delegates in discussion about human trade innovations, directing their attention to holographic displays and complex simulations. Alex subtly adjusted lighting and holographic positioning to guide delegates' focus, making Gorath follow along with a plan he could not predict. It was a playful ruse. Nothing aggressive, nothing confrontational, just clever manipulation of perception. Humans could do this effortlessly because they combined creativity with social intelligence. The aliens, while intelligent and disciplined, relied too heavily on rules and expectations. This reliance made them vulnerable. As the evening continued, Leora and Alex executed several such subtle maneuvers. A misplaced comment here, a carefully timed laugh there, a shift in posture, all orchestrated to give humans the upper hand. Gorath attempted to assert control, but each effort was met with unpredictability that frustrated him. At one point, Leora moved close to Gorath during a brief pause in conversation. She leaned slightly forward, her expression calm but playful. "You know, Gorath," she said softly, "it's fascinating how some of us can see patterns that others cannot. Humans have a knack for noticing what is hidden in plain sight." Gorath's eyes narrowed, but he could not respond effectively. Leora had not attacked him. She had merely framed human insight in a way he could not anticipate. Alex could see the subtle shift in the room. Delegates' attention, even his allies, was drawn to her calm confidence. Alex leaned closer to Leora, whispering a suggestion. "Engage the trade delegate from Zyrian next. Ask about their navigation technology. It will distract Gorath further while we subtly influence the other delegates' perceptions." Leora nodded and executed the move flawlessly. She engaged the Zyrian delegate in a discussion about the challenges of interstellar navigation, using simple questions and anecdotes to highlight human ingenuity. The conversation was lighthearted, but its effect was strategic. Gorath's attention was split, his control diminished, and the delegates began to see humans as clever, adaptable, and capable of leadership. Alex observed quietly, proud but alert. Humans had advantages aliens could not fully quantify: charm, humor, intuition, and adaptability. These traits allowed them to turn complex situations to their favor without confrontation. The ruse was working. As the night wore on, Leora and Alex continued their subtle maneuvers. They guided conversations, influenced perceptions, and maintained an air of casual confidence. Gorath tried to respond, attempting to regain control through logic and strict procedure, but he could not anticipate the fluidity of human behavior. Finally, the evening reached its climax. Leora executed the most delicate part of the plan, a playful, symbolic gesture toward Gorath. She stepped close, her expression calm and inviting, and whispered something that seemed casual but carried meaning only humans could convey. Alex watched intently as Gorath froze, uncertain how to interpret the gesture. It was not a threat, not a challenge, but a display of confidence and human unpredictability. The delegates around them noticed the subtle tension, sensing the power of human ingenuity without understanding its full extent. The effect was immediate. Gorath's influence waned, and the room's attention subtly shifted toward humans. Leora's calm confidence, combined with Alex's strategic guidance, had turned a potentially dangerous situation into a triumph of perception and cleverness. As the delegates began to disperse, Leora turned to Alex with a satisfied smile. Round 2 complete. The ex-husband is thoroughly confused. Alex chuckled quietly. Humans do have a way of surprising everyone. Leora's eyes sparkled. And sometimes a single playful move or one clever gesture is enough to shift the balance in our favor. Alex nodded, knowing that this was not just about tonight. It was a reminder of humans' unique strengths, the ability to improvise, adapt, and manipulate perception in ways that aliens could not fully anticipate. As they left the hall, the stars outside the viewport shimmered like distant beacons of possibility. Humans were underestimated everywhere, yet their ingenuity, charm, and unpredictability made them formidable in ways no alien could calculate. And Alex realized something important. The game was far from over. The ex-husband, frustrated but not defeated, would return. But humans had proven that cleverness, intuition, and confidence were powerful tools, capable of turning even the most calculated adversary into an observer of their own success. Tonight had been another victory. Not through strength, weapons, or sheer intelligence, but through the subtle, unpredictable qualities that made humans remarkable. And as Alex watched Leora move confidently through the corridors, he felt certain that whatever challenges awaited, humans would continue to shine, unexpected, unpredictable, and unstoppable. The corridors of the celestial harmony were quiet in the early morning, bathed in soft, golden light. Outside, the stars shimmered against the endless black of space, and the vast expanse of Earth's orbit stretched far below. Inside, Alex Rin reviewed reports on interstellar trade negotiations and the latest updates about alien alliances. He had a sense of the challenge ahead. Gorath Kavel, Leora's ex-husband, was preparing his next move. Leora approached, carrying a tablet with the latest diplomatic schedules. Her face carried that familiar mix of confidence and playfulness, a reminder that humans thrived on unpredictability. "Morning, Alex," she said lightly. "Looks like Gorath is planning a little countermeasure for tonight. He's determined to regain control of the room." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Countermeasure?" She smiled faintly. "Yes, he's gathered his allies and briefed them on human unpredictability. He thinks if he anticipates our moves, he can regain influence. But humans, we thrive on surprises." Alex nodded. That was the human advantage: adaptability, creativity, and intuition. Where Gorath relied on rigid logic and pre-planned responses, humans could improvise, read subtle cues, and manipulate perception. Tonight would test that edge, and Alex was ready. The main hall was already buzzing with delegates when they arrived. Holographic displays of trade routes, technological innovations, and cultural symbols floated above the polished floors. Alien delegates moved carefully, their eyes scanning the room for deviations from protocol. Gorath's presence loomed over the gathering like a shadow, intense, precise, and calculated. Leora leaned slightly toward Alex as they moved through the crowd. Remember, it's not about confronting him. It's about controlling perception. Let him think he's winning while we guide the outcome. Alex nodded. Humans excelled at subtle influence. One carefully timed comment, one gesture, or even a playful smile could shift the entire balance of attention. Gorath's strategy became evident quickly. He positioned his allies to monitor Leora's every move, placing them near her in clusters. They whispered, exchanged glances, and attempted to anticipate her next step. But humans were unpredictable. Every action she took carried multiple meanings, confusing the aliens and making them second-guess themselves. The first test came with a conversation near the holographic projection of Earthra's trade routes. Leora approached a group of alien delegates, asking questions about navigation systems and trade efficiency. Her tone was curious, open, and casual, but each question carried a subtle strategic influence. Alex watched carefully. The ex-husband observed from a distance, his expression unreadable but his posture betrayed frustration. He had planned his move meticulously, but Leora was several steps ahead, subtly controlling attention and perception. Notice how humans can turn a casual conversation into influence, Alex whispered to a nearby crew member. We read subtle cues, improvise, and adjust. Aliens rely on strict rules. They can't adapt as quickly. The crew member nodded. That's why humans are underestimated in diplomacy and negotiation. Gorath, sensing his influence slipping, decided to act. He approached the center of the hall, signaling to his allies to redirect attention. His steps were deliberate, his posture rigid, meant to convey authority. But Leora anticipated the move. She stepped lightly to the side, allowing Gorath to pass her while subtly guiding delegates' focus elsewhere. Her smile, casual and confident, drew attention away from his effort. Aliens noticed the shift but could not interpret its significance. Humans had subtly manipulated the flow of perception, and the room responded accordingly. Alex stayed close, ready to intervene, though he trusted Leora's instincts. Humans were masters of improvisation. They could create advantage from chaos. One misstep by Gorath could lead to his own perception being undermined. The next maneuver involved humor and subtle misdirection. Leora approached a Zyrian delegate known for his strict adherence to protocol. She asked a playful question about trade technology, pretending to misunderstand one of the technical terms. The delegate attempted to correct her, but in doing so, revealed subtle weaknesses in his own system to the other delegates. Gorath noticed, attempting to intervene, but it was too late. Leora's playful approach had created an effect beyond immediate comprehension. Delegates were now aware of human ingenuity, adaptability, and cleverness. The ex-husband could observe, but he could not control the flow. "Watch him," Leora whispered. "He thinks he's countering, but he's reacting." Alex observed carefully. Humans had the power to turn observation into action. Gorath was trying to anticipate, plan, and control, but each rigid strategy only made him more predictable. Humans thrived on adaptability, intuition, and subtle improvisation. The evening progressed with a series of carefully orchestrated interactions. Leora and Alex guided conversations, influenced perceptions, and maintained an air of effortless charm. Gorath attempted to assert influence through logic, procedural knowledge, and subtle intimidation, but each effort was neutralized by human creativity. At one point, Leora leaned toward Gorath during a brief pause in conversation. Her tone was soft, her expression calm and playful. "It's fascinating," she said, "how perception can be more powerful than authority. Humans often rely on what others do not see, the hidden possibilities." Gorath froze, uncertain how to respond. He had expected confrontation or formal argument, but Leora had simply reframed the situation. Humans were unpredictable, adaptive, and subtle. One small gesture, carefully placed, had disrupted his control entirely. Alex whispered to Leora, "Now's the time for the final nudge." She smiled, moving through the delegates with casual precision. Each conversation was a ripple in perception, guiding attention, influence, and opinion subtly but decisively. Aliens attempted to follow, but their rigid thinking made them slow, hesitant, and reactive. Gorath's allies tried to intervene, offering suggestions, signaling warnings, and attempting to regain control. Leora responded with playful questions and subtle gestures, turning each attempt into a demonstration of human adaptability. The human advantage became clear. Charm, intuition, humor, and improvisation allowed them to manipulate social dynamics in ways no alien system could anticipate. Alex noticed the gradual shift in the room. Delegates who had previously followed Gorath's cues now looked to Leora, impressed by her ability to influence and guide without overt control. Finally, Leora executed a decisive move. She positioned herself in the center of the hall, engaging Gorath in a playful, metaphorical gesture, a subtle acknowledgement of observation and cleverness. It was not aggressive or confrontational, but a clear display of human confidence and unpredictability. Alex watched closely as Gorath's expression shifted from frustration to reluctant admiration. He had been outmaneuvered without realizing it. Humans had turned subtle perception, charm, and strategic improvisation into an unassailable advantage. As the evening concluded, delegates began to depart, each leaving with a renewed sense of respect for human ingenuity. Gorath lingered briefly, his pride wounded but his awareness of human capability undeniable. Leora had not merely survived, she had outwitted a skilled alien strategist without aggression, force, or confrontation. Leora turned to Alex, her expression triumphant. Round 4 complete. The ex-husband is thoroughly reconsidering his assumptions. Alex smiled. Humans are full of surprises, and that's exactly what makes us formidable. Leora nodded, her eyes glinting. One small gesture, one subtle influence can shift the balance in ways others never expect. That's the human advantage. Alex reflected on the night's events. Humans were underestimated, yet their unique qualities, adaptability, intuition, charm, and creativity, made them capable of extraordinary outcomes. Even in a galaxy of powerful aliens, humans could win without confrontation, simply by understanding, influencing, and improvising. As they left the main hall and walked along the quiet corridors of the celestial harmony, Alex felt a renewed sense of pride. Humans had faced a formidable opponent and emerged not through strength or technology, but through subtle cleverness and perception. The stars outside the viewport shone like distant possibilities, a reminder that humans' ingenuity was limitless. And Alex knew that whatever challenges awaited, humans would continue to navigate the galaxy with resourcefulness, charm, and the ability to turn even the most calculated adversary into an observer of their success. Leora glanced at Alex with a playful smile. One more victory tonight, but the game isn't over. The galaxy will continue to underestimate us, and that's exactly why humans will always have the edge. Alex chuckled quietly. Unpredictable, adaptable, clever, humans do have a way of surprising everyone. Leora laughed softly, the sound warm and confident. And sometimes, one clever move, one subtle gesture, or even one metaphorical kiss is enough to shift the balance entirely. As they prepared to return to their quarters, the sense of accomplishment was palpable. Humans had once again proven that in a universe filled with rules, rigid protocols, and calculated logic, adaptability and ingenuity were the most formidable tools. And Alex realized as he watched the stars outside that humans' true power lay not in force or technology, but in their ability to improvise, charm, and turn every situation to their favor, one clever move at a time. The final day aboard the Celestial Harmony arrived quietly. The massive flagship drifted through space with calm confidence, its systems humming softly as if aware that something important was about to happen. Outside the wide observation windows, stars stretched endlessly, cold and distant. Inside, however, the air felt warm with anticipation. Alex Rinn stood near the viewport, hands behind his back, watching the slow rotation of the galaxy. Over the past few days, humans had proven something important, not with force, not with threats, but with intelligence, charm, and adaptability. Still, today would decide everything. The final diplomatic session would determine trade access, alliances, and long-term influence. Behind him, the doors slid open and Leora Vance stepped into the room. She looked calm, confident, and completely in control. "Final round," she said lightly. Alex turned and smiled. "The hardest one," Leora nodded. "Goreth knows he's losing. That makes him dangerous, not in action, but in desperation." Alex understood. Goreth Cavell had spent his entire career believing that rigid logic and strict rules were the highest form of intelligence. Humans had challenged that belief without attacking it directly. And now the alien diplomat was struggling to adapt. That was the difference. Humans adapted. The final session took place in the Grand Assembly Hall, the largest chamber on the Celestial Harmony. Delegates from dozens of systems filled the tiered seating. Floating displays hovered above, showing trade routes, shared technologies, and cooperation frameworks. The room was silent as Leora and Alex entered, not tense, not hostile, silent with attention. Goreth stood at the opposite end of the hall, surrounded by his remaining allies. His posture was rigid, his expression carefully neutral, but Alex noticed the signs: small movements, delayed reactions, subtle hesitation. Goreth was thinking too hard. Humans did not overthink. They felt the room. The session began with formal statements. Alien delegates spoke in measured tones, carefully structured sentences, and long, detailed explanations. Each word followed protocol. Each idea stayed within safe boundaries. Then it was Leora's turn. She stepped forward calmly. "Humans thank the Assembly for the opportunity to speak," she said simply. "No long introduction, no heavy structure, just honesty. We believe cooperation works best when it allows room for flexibility. No system survives by refusing to adapt." Some delegates shifted in their seats. Goreth watched closely. Leora continued. "Humans are often called unpredictable. We accept that. But unpredictability is not chaos, it is responsiveness. It is the ability to listen, to change, and to improve." Alex saw it happening. Attention shifted. Aliens were listening not because of authority but because of clarity. Goreth stood. "Human adaptability," he said smoothly, "is also human inconsistency. Trade agreements require stability, not emotional decision-making." Leora smiled, not sharply, not mockingly, but warmly. "That is a fair concern," she replied. "And that is why humans build systems that evolve. We do not fear change, we prepare for it." She gestured toward the floating display. A new projection appeared, showing layered trade models that adjusted automatically based on real-time conditions. No one had seen this yet. Murmurs spread through the hall. Alex felt a quiet satisfaction. This was not a surprise attack, it was a shared opportunity. Goreth frowned. "These models rely on assumptions." "So do all models," Leora said gently. "The difference is that ours admit it." That single sentence changed the room. Aliens relied on certainty. Humans accepted uncertainty and worked with it. The discussion continued not as a debate but as a conversation. Delegates asked questions. Leora answered openly. Alex occasionally added clarifications, always calm, always simple. No pressure, no tricks, just understanding. Goreth tried once more. "You claim cooperation," he said, "yet you influence perception without transparency." Leora turned toward him fully. "Yes," she said honestly, "because perception matters. Humans do not pretend otherwise." We understand that trust begins with how people feel, not just what they calculate. Silence followed. Then an unexpected thing happened. An alien delegate, one of Goreth's former allies, spoke. Human methods are unfamiliar, the delegate admitted, but they are effective. They acknowledge complexity rather than denying it. Another delegate nodded, then another. Goreth's control slipped, not dramatically, not painfully, but naturally. Influence moved away from him because humans had offered something better, understanding. Alex watched Goreth carefully. For the first time, the alien diplomat did not respond immediately. He was learning. The final vote came quietly. Human proposals passed, not unanimously but clearly. Trade corridors opened. Shared research approved. Long-term cooperation agreed. No cheers followed. No dramatic reaction, just acceptance. As the session ended, delegates began to leave, discussing possibilities rather than risks. The atmosphere felt lighter, more open. Goreth remained behind. Leora approached him calmly. "You played well," she said. Goreth looked at her for a long moment. "Humans," he said slowly, "do not win the way others do." Leora smiled. "We don't try to win, we try to connect." Goreth gave a small nod. "Perhaps that is why you succeeded." It was not an apology, but it was respect. Later in the quiet observation lounge, Alex and Leora stood side by side watching the stars again. "Well," Alex said, "I think that went better than expected." Leora laughed softly. "That's usually when humans do their best." Alex considered the journey. No battles, no threats. No dominance, just intelligence, empathy, and adaptability. "You know," he said, "they still won't fully understand us." Leora shrugged. "They don't have to, they just need to work with us." She paused, then added with a playful smile, "And sometimes one metaphorical kiss really is enough." Alex smiled. Across the galaxy, news spread quickly. Humans were no longer seen as weak or chaotic, but as flexible, creative, and quietly powerful. Not conquerors. Problem solvers. As the celestial harmony prepared to depart, Alex felt a deep sense of pride. Humans had not changed the galaxy by force. They had changed it by being human, and that, he knew, was their greatest strength.